Hi everyone, Mr. Dawson here. I'm making this short video to help demonstrate a process to you that you will use for an upcoming assignment. So you can watch and listen, and I'm going to be doing an assignment similar to the one that I'm going to ask you to do as a way to help you see my thinking and my process as I complete the assignment. As you can see from the title here, we're going to be working on writing a literary analysis using two texts, and this is my model for that. So the question that I'm going to answer in front of you is, right there, how does D.H. Lawrence use his style to convey themes in his writing? I thought this would be a good question because we've recently read a few pieces by D.H. Lawrence, and since we're all familiar with them, I'll be able to reference them and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So, I did a little thinking about this question before making this video. You can see here is my copy of The Horse Dealer's Daughter, and here's my copy of Anxiety, the poem we read, which I will also use as a reference during the video. And the first thing you need to do when you're making a literary analysis using two texts is just do a little brainstorming. So really the topic of this video will be my brainstorming about this question. So one thing that I noticed both of the texts include is animals. And I can't be certain what my idea is going to be yet, but thinking back to the poem, I remember that there are the two black birds, and in The Horse Dealer's Daughter there are actually two kinds of animals, but most prominently the horses. So I'm just going to make an outline here. I prefer to use kind of a web format, but you could use whichever you prefer. So to try to think a little bit more deeply, I'm going to look at the text here, and I noticed that the two black birds sweeping past the window again kind of relate to the two people in the poem that seem to be feeling anxious. So I'm just going to try to draw that connection. And then the horses, remember if I look back to The Horse Dealer's Daughter, there are four horses which relate to the three brothers and the sister. So I'm going to say four horses and four characters. So right there I have a connection that I made between the two texts. If I think a little bit further, I remember that the horses are being tied up and led away, while the characters are kind of being led away from their former lives. Right? So I'm going to draw another connection here and say they are in similar situations. And now with the two black birds in the Anxiety poem, while the two black birds are not feeling anxious, as we discussed in class, usually dark colors will represent dark feelings in literature. So it seems like the birds, being that there are two of them and that they have a dark color, maybe are supposed to relate to these dark feelings that the people are feeling. So I'm going to mention that there are dark feelings and dark colors. So there's my little web, and you may organize your ideas in a different way, but I just wanted to show you my first process of looking at two texts and trying to draw connections between them. So I guess the last part that I'll show you here is how I'll try to turn all of this into a statement, which could be my thesis statement. And I think I'll say, in D.H. Lawrence's his work, he uses animals to represent, I won't say the characters, but I will say the emotional situation characters find themselves in. There's a thesis that I've developed. It's a first draft, but I can work with it, improve it, and go from there. So, there's my example, a starting point of how you can write a literary analysis using two texts.